Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Touchdown with Doug Smith. And in today's episode, the topic is nepotism. So, Jim Irsay, rest in peace to the man, the legend, Jim Irsay. He has now passed down the ownership of his team to his three daughters. But we're going to compare that because online, a lot of people are screaming nepotism. But there, in fact, are some stark differences between nepotism for that and then also Bronny James, a professional athlete who now plays for the Los Angeles Lakers. So we're going to go ahead and get into it. I brought my special guest today, Time Out with ARRIK, to give him a follow, give him a subscribe. That's on the description of this video. ARRIK, you ready to talk a little nepotism today, bro?
Of course. Let's get it in.
Yes, sir. Let's get into it, man. So today we're gonna talk about the qualifications of his three daughters. We're gonna talk about Bronny's qualifications coming into the NBA and what are the stark differences. Because you could say by definition these are both nepotism, but I think this situation, in my opinion, is very, very different. So we're gonna break it down. So we got three young ladies. We have Carly Irsay Gordon, so she's the oldest daughter, born in 81. Then we have the middle child, Casey Foyt, and let me see here, and then she was born in 83. And then we have Kaylin Jackson, okay, and that's the youngest daughter. Okay, so let's talk about it, man. Let's talk about some of her experience. So she joined, the oldest daughter, Carly Irsay Gordon, joined as vice president in 2008, rose to vice chair and co-owner in 2012. So here we are in 2025. She had a long time to be with this organization, right? Served temporarily as acting lead during Jim's NFL suspension in 2014, represented the Colts at NFL owners meeting since 2004. Dude, that's 21 years. That's a long time. Okay. Since 2016, member of NFL's media owned and operated committee, so security and fan conduct committee and NFL player foundation board. And then of course she handles like media and stuff like that as well too. And then she was named CEO and principal owner effective June 9th. Then we got Casey Foyt. Again, it's a lot of the same things as her sister, but she joined in 2007, became vice chair and co-owner in 2012, executive vice president since June 9th of 2025, that is today, and then focuses on sports marketing, community relations, and Colts women's organization. Very cool. And then of course she says she represented the Colts at NFL owners meetings, so key in NFL's international outreach, so London games, etc. And then of course lastly, and then ARRIK, I want to hear what you guys say. There's Kaylin Jackson, the youngest child, the baby. She came in 2010, and was named again, kind of the same as her sister kind of thing. Now her is a little bit different. Chairs family mental health initiative, kicking the stigma, helps let's see here. It says here, helps found Irsay's Institute at Indiana University, board member at United Way of Central Indiana. Okay. And then of course she's also been a part of those NFL employee benefits committee and represents Colts at owners meetings. So her not so much, but you got the other two, the middle child and the oldest child, and dude, they've been putting in work for a long time in this organization. They have been basically gifted this opportunity, whereas if they were just a random person, they would not have been given this opportunity. Nepotism, sure, but they had to earn it. You know what I mean? Like they're familiar with fans. You know what I mean? I'm starting to kind of see that with Stephen Ross with the Miami Dolphins. Eventually, he will be stepping down, and his daughter will be the one to ultimately take over, right? So, but she's doing stuff with the community, right? She's earning it. ARRIK, man, what are your thoughts on this, man?
I think it's a good move. I think we talked about it being nepotism, but their qualifications, if we're counting as of today, which is when they've been promoted into this position, they have earned it. They've been doing it for a long time. And I like the fact that Jim set them up to not stumble over each other or bicker about whose role is more important in the organization. They have a set role, a set list of obligations, and they understand clearly what it takes to go forward. As you had spoken on, you've got Carly, who has some experience when Jim Irsay had actually gotten suspended. She also has taken up, the helm of CEO of the organization. So in his absence, I think that since they have already been active members within the organization going forward, you're not going to see much difference. I think Jim has kind of stepped away the last few years. We weren't hearing as much about him in the tabloids of, he's doing this in the off season. He said this about this player. He'd been kind of absent for the last couple of years when usually we've seen him be a very active voice in the NFL.
Yeah, absolutely. And then moving on to Bronny James, right? Bronny James gets into the NBA with less than stellar stats. And had Bronny not his dad not been LeBron James, King James, as they say, this young man is not getting into the NBA. Number one, he would have stayed much longer in college and developed those skills. Now, I will say he is starting to develop. I have seen a difference, but he still needs to continue to develop, right? And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. And it almost kind of kills it for him because it's like, man, LeBron was not his dad. Dude, the pressure that young man must feel must be insane. Absolutely insane. He's a very nice young man too. But again, nepotism on this end as well too. But I think for me, the big stark difference is that Jim Irsay had his daughters, again, nepotism, but they had to go in there and they have been putting in work. The youngest daughter, not so much, but the other two daughters, they've been putting in work for years into this organization, right? And whatnot. And then you have Bronny, where it's like, all right, he's putting in the work right now. Right now, he's in, but he's putting in the work right now. I think the biggest thing for me and what I like about Bronny and what I like about Jim Irsay's daughters is they're putting in the work. They're putting in the work. So I would say, look, man, I don't actually. This is a very unpopular opinion. I don't really have that much of a problem with nepotism. I personally don't. Long as you are putting in the work, the same as an outsider would be putting in the work. Long as you are hungry and you care about it,
Okay.
you get the baton and you run with it. Look, not a very popular guy. Well, popular guy, but some people love him, some people hate him. I'll just use Donald Trump for example. His dad had a whole real estate company, and he gives the baton to his son. Boom, he takes it over and elevates things, right? And oftentimes we have people who they're given the baton and they don't have that same hunger as their parent. We see it all the time with NFL players' kids, or even for all my hip hop fans, Notorious B.I.G.,
Hmm.
Biggie Smalls. Okay, even if you don't listen to rap, you probably know who that name is. Well, his son became a rapper, and his son was terrible. He was not good at rapping at all. You know what I mean? But that expectation was that he didn't have the same hunger as father. This kid grew up in a gated community in Los Angeles, right? His dad grew up in Bedford Stuyvesant, Brooklyn. You know what I mean? A concrete jungle, as they would say in the music. So there was that hunger there. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? Where his son, what's there to really be hungry for? You know what I mean? So shout out to another example, Patrick Surtain. His son, and this is a nepotism because
Wow, I was about to say.
oh no. I'm going somewhere with it, but like his son is easily a top five best defensive back in this league. Best because that hunger is there. Again, not nepotism, but it's when somebody steps into their parents' shoes. Now, that is a nepotism. Nepotism is literally someone gifting them an opportunity that they did not necessarily earn. Bronny James. Okay. But he also did gift these young ladies. There's other more qualified people than these ladies to take and run the Indianapolis Colts. And had they not been his daughters, they would not be given this opportunity. But long as they run with the baton, I don't have a problem with nepotism. What are your thoughts, Eric?
Nepotism is tricky. Like you had said, you covered all complexities of nepotism. What's very interesting about nepotism is There's the old saying, you might have to suffer for the sins of your father. Well, what about getting the blessings of your father and his hard work?
Mm.
Jim Irsay put in a lot of work through that Colts organization.
Sweat equity.
Yes, exactly. And we know that LeBron James, who is a legend and has literally defeated every single disrespectful comment that he's had about his entire career. And he's a legend, top three in most people's, top players of all time. Now, looking at Bronny, and you're saying how those examples you had given, those people had the hunger. They put in the work and they made something of themselves. Bronny James has been quoted, saying, could care less. I play video games.
Ooh, I
I
didn't know that.
don't I don't really care about what y'all have to say about me or my game. My dad is LeBron James. But we're talking about professional sports in a very competitive market. You and I have discussed in the NBA how difficult it is to actually get into the NBA.
Yeah,
We know guys that have played in the league. We know guys that are currently playing in the league. And we know guys that simply went to the G League, maybe made a couple of tryouts, never got the real shot.
yeah,
It is difficult
yeah.
to get into that league.
More
So,
difficult that than football. More difficult that than baseball or hockey. It's five starters, and then you got your cats on the bench. Then G
exact,
League. That's it.
exact. And for every single one of those guys, I would say probably 97 to 99% of the guys in the league were the guy on their team.
Yeah.
Whether you were the guy in junior high, you were the guy in high school, you became the guy in college, and so on. I would argue that we never saw Bronny James be the guy. Some may argue that he played on some specialized teams with some top tier talent, and that's why he was just a guy on the team. I
Mm,
understand that. I get that. But at some point, you make the statement. You hit a couple of game winners. You lock down the other team's best offensive player. You're going to show your gifts in a way so that ESPN, when they do rank you, there are several other guys on that list that can also co-sign for that. Oh no, he's tough.
yeah.
Anthony Edwards is right now, someone who is fighting for the face of the league. SGA, Tyrese Halliburton, all of those guys at some point you looked out on that basketball court and said, hey, he's going to be playing for the league at some point, and here we are watching it today.
Yeah.
Bronny has got some growing to do. I'm not saying that it's over for the guy, but he has some work to do. And really, it's not his fault. He didn't ask to be LeBron James' son. He didn't ask to also be an undersized guard. That's
Mm.
the other part that's
Six
very
foot two,
difficult.
right?
About 6'2", 6'1".
Yeah.
But that's in the NBA, that is tiny.
Yeah.
And you will have to be a special talent, whether it's your passing IQ, hyper athletic quickness, hyper athletic finishing ability, a sharpshooter from the 3-point line. There's got to be something that we can put you into and you orchestrate the offense and not turn the ball over at the same time.
Mm.
Bronny's okay, but got a lot of work to do in order to be a true contributor in this league going forward. He could be something one day. He could end up being a prolific starter, have a great career. The average career in the NBA is 4 to 5 years. He already signed a 4-year contract, so he doesn't have to worry about that. But he's got a lot of work to do in order to be a contributor. And I'd love to pick his brain and see what he sees for himself. Is he just going to ride his dad's coattail until his dad gets out of the league? Or does he actually want to be in the NBA and then no, this is what I do. This is what I'm going to be. I'm going to be a six man. I'm going to be a starting point guard in this league. I'm going to face the best guys in this league. I'd
Yeah.
be interested to see his mentality towards that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's interesting because we've seen because he's still kind of fresh to us. You know what I mean? It's year 2 in the NBA for him.
Hmm.
And then of course we have these young ladies who have been doing it for a while. So now I will say online there was a racial component where people are like, well, where's the outrage for this, like with Bronny James? And I I would say, of course, that there's the super duper minority where it's like, hey, yes, I'm gonna have my blind spots, and I'm not gonna care about Jim Irsay's daughters, whatever. But for the most part, majority of us, race has, in my opinion, I'll let you give your feedback. Race has nothing to do with this. It's 3 ladies who've been putting in work for years. Even the youngest daughter, but more so the middle and oldest daughter, have been putting in work for years, over a decade, well over a decade. You
Hmm.
know what I mean? That like fans know who they are, kind of thing, right?
Hmm.
They get stopped in grocery stores, like people know who they are, right? Whereas with Bronny, you know what I mean? And look, Jim Irsay, he had his demons, he had his stuff going on too. LeBron, due to being outspoken with like politics and stuff like that, he has become very much loved and adored, but also hated as well too. So here comes Bronny, who did not make some of the comments that his dad has made.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? So there's that aspect. So there's legit reasons why people are more so favoring Jim Irsay's daughters than over Bronny James. What are your thoughts, man? You think it's racial or no?
I don't think it's racial at all. I mean, I'm sure that everyone can find a way to uh, place race into any kind of debate,
Mhm.
but it shouldn't be a focal point. I
Yeah.
don't see anything wrong with what is going on with the Ursay daughters. They have earned it. Even the youngest one has put in 15 years already in
Mhm.
her position since
Yeah.
2010. And philanthropy is not easy.
Yeah.
You're doing a lot of handshaking. It's not always in a comfortable meeting room, you
Yeah.
know. The oldest one, she could be, she knows what she's going into most of
Yeah.
the time. Philanthropy, that's a different monster.
Mhm.
And you're involving a lot of internet as well. We know that modern day, most of your interactions are going to be through the internet. So a
Yeah.
lot of, changing the stigmatism or, kicking the stigma of mental health is a hurdle in itself. One of those things that, you know, for men in general, which we know the NFL is full of men, it's all men.
Yeah.
It's a stigma for us to talk about our mental health.
Yeah. Huge. Absolutely.
As we know, Men's Mental Health Month is upon us, but it's one of those things that it's still difficult for most men to express themselves or be vulnerable. So for her to attack that the way that she has, we could say that the Colts are one of the pioneers
Mhm.
of the mental health space in the NFL.
I love it. I love it. Time out with ARRIK. Thank you so much for coming on the show today. Ladies and gentlemen, give him a follow. He's my special guest today. He will be in the description of this video if you want to find his channel. I got his Instagram, Twitter, YouTube channel. Check him out. Also, hit that subscribe button, comment below if you agree, if you disagree. We'll see you guys in the comment section. God bless you guys. We'll see you on the next one. Peace. Thank you for watching another episode of the Touchdown with Doug Smith, where we have exclusive NFL content and exclusive NFL interviews. Be sure to hit that like and that subscribe button. Follow us on social media. See you on the next one.